Hello, I'm Ndimyake Mwakalyelye. This is In Focus. Vincent McCory is off today, but we do hope you had a safe and wonderful weekend. Now, the 18th International AIDS Conference is underway in Vienna, Austria. United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon opened the conference by expressing concern that the global recession will cause wealthy nations to cut back on funds to fight AIDS. Now, for more on the AIDS conference, VOA's Margaret Besheer joins us from Vienna. Hi, Margaret.
Hi, Dimmy.
Well, I guess in keeping with the AIDS conference traditions over the years, there was a big ball on the eve of the conference, the Life Ball. Can you tell us about that?
Well, sure. Well, actually, that's a Vienna tradition, not really an AIDS conference tradition. Here in Austria, they've had this ball for about 10 years, and it's one of the premier charity events in all of Europe to raise money for the fight against AIDS. And in fact, they raised over $1 million this year to help.
Now,
but it was really colorful, I have to tell you.
I imagine.
It was very colorful.
Hopefully we'll get to see some footage of that. Now,
I hope so.
Of course, with every conference, there's a theme. This particular year, it's rights here, right now. Can you expound on that message?
Sure, it's about removing the stigma and discrimination and human rights violations, because these things are major obstacles to people receiving treatment for HIV and AIDS. So it's really to highlight that it's time for these taboos to end, and discrimination against gays and lesbians and women and everybody that's discriminated against because they have HIV.
And of course, funding has been a major issue. We just said that in the introduction, from UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon to former US President Bill Clinton, who spoke earlier, really stressing this problem that funding might create, lack of funding might create.
Sure. Well, I mean, especially now with the global economic crisis, funding for everything is at a premium, not just for AIDS. And so donors perhaps have been a little less generous. And what President Clinton spoke here today, former President Clinton, and he said that really, you only have so many Bill Gates in the world and people with those sort of resources. And so who's going to step up next and fill that gap? And he really believes it's the small donors. It's people like you and me who give a $5 donation or $50 donation or whatever you can afford, and a lot of times it's through mobile phone campaigns, internet campaigns. He mentioned the tsunami in 2004 and the Haiti earthquake earlier this year, how billions of dollars were raised just by a huge number of individuals who cared and who made small contributions.
Well, obviously the dropping in funding is affecting a lot of people, including targets to have universal access for everybody who needs funding. And I guess there were some protesters there in Vienna who really made a very strong point trying to demonstrate this particular problem.
Right. Well, world leaders had said that 2010 was going to be the year for universal access to HIV treatment, and they failed to meet that target date and failed to fulfill that promise. And so last night we had here in Vienna, a lot of the people who are attending the conference, in fact, participated, and it was just a big peaceful protest to say it's time to fulfill your promise and give us universal access.
And if you could just elaborate on that, they staged what you call a die-in?
A die-in, yes. They staged a die-in where a lot of them lay down on the ground and said they were dead because they didn't have universal access to health care. And in fact, here they have a little daily bulletin they put out. It's sort of a little bit sarcastic. And the cover story this morning was universal access achieved in Africa, but it was for mobile phones and not HIV. So they're trying to make the point that there are much more important things that need universal access.
Very briefly, Margaret, UNAIDS Executive Director Michelle Sidibe launched an initiative, Treatment 2.0. Just briefly tell us what that is.
Yeah, it's just basically an initiative that's intended to simplify access to HIV treatment. I just give you some notes. It's so it can reach more people, because there are 33 million people around the world who have AIDS and have HIV, and only 5 million of them are receiving treatment. And so this would give wider access to medicines, and medicines at a lower cost, which is really key.
Margaret, thank you so much. That's all the time we have, but wealth of information there. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Okay, stay tuned. We have a lot this week, Dimmy.
All right, take care.